Hello and welcome to Stage 4 of the Richmond Raceway NASCAR event, or I should say Federated Auto Parts 400. Now, there's an error here. Get to position 30 while skidding for at least 30 seconds. So they've got that wrong. You can skid 30 times in way less than 30 seconds. So you really need to pay attention to that, because skidding for 30 seconds is a very long time. I don't know which one of these is the error, if they meant to have it as 30 times and they accidentally did it for 30 seconds, but oh well. In the past, when we had events where it said skid 10 times, you just fishtail back and forth, and each time you change position it would count as a skid. Since this is a timer, that really doesn't matter. You just need to do a lot of skidding. And they said that the tires heat up more as you're skidding. Well, not very much more. That's usually true. Now, maybe it's not because I'm hitting the wall, but don't worry about your tires heating up. It doesn't matter if they ever hit 100% in this stage. Just get your skidding in and finish in at least 30th, and you can see I'm already in 19th, so that's not a problem. Anywho, it's a fun enough event. As you can see, I kind of use the walls. I've got all of my assists off. Sometimes when you've got to do a bunch of skidding, steering assist high can actually help with that, but I don't really care. This is working for me. I'm not really going to try to win this event. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is just get skidding in. So you could do a really long skid like that without hitting the walls like I'm doing, but whatever. It's just a kind of a fun, silly event. Get all your drafting in. You'd never do this in real life. You'd never be doing all this drifting in the middle of a race. So not in NASCAR, of course. Of course, there's some races where you are drifting, but not NASCAR, because you would lose horribly. There's just no way. Right, so 14th place, and that's probably going to be the rest of my drifting. There we go. And now I can get back onto the throttle. Now, of course, my tires are cold, so this car is not going to be handling very good. I don't know that I can get much higher in position. Boy, the tires were heating up so slow. Okay, well, I'm happy to see that one over. It's a little bit of fun, but it was just kind of... I don't like confusing events when the descriptions don't match. Oh well. Onward and forward. So, position 20, draft for 5,000 units or qubits. Some of these starts are weird. Like, did you notice the very, very first race at Daytona? The bots were just weird how they were positioned on the track. Oh, that's a good start. These guys are kind of driving weird too, right in the middle. Oh well. I guess that'll give you the opportunity to, like, are they going to slide over as soon as they cross the line, I wonder? Well, sort of. There's kind of a starting formation. Now, here's how you can get... Now look at that. See, that is a beautiful Richmond overtake. So you go... Most corners, we don't go that high as we're braking. So at Richmond, it's kind of interesting. You're staying more in the middle of the track and the corners if you can. So here, you know, I'm braking in the middle into the throttle really early. And then I get a huge run, a little bit of drafting, and then an overtake. Same thing here. Go up into the corner a bit, onto the gas before my car drifts down. Ooh, I might have to lift. No, looks like I didn't really have to. Maybe I feathered a little bit there. And there you go again. Turn down into the throttle. You can see the... Well, if you're not used to the term, the track rubbers up. So you get this black ridge you can see. Now, I am basically following that black ridge. So watch to the left. Like, I'm not following it there. I'm doing the opposite. But here I join the black ridge and drive on it. And hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. So that is the standard race line, but in this game, I find it's better to stray from that at the entrance of the corners. Ooh boy, this gets a little bit mucky. Kind of fun though. I mean, this is what makes Richmond fun, is you get an awful lot of traffic, and there's a lot of it. So if you don't like traffic, you're really not going to like Richmond. But for people who like passing, like me, I like passing, then Richmond is fun, because if you have a stint of no traffic, it won't last very long. You're always going to be getting into lapped traffic. Now, still have more drafting to do, quite a bit actually. Laps are so short here. I mean, even if you have a slow lap, you're really only at about 19.5 seconds. So, well, I mean, sure, you can go over 20 seconds here, but with this tuning setup, you can do mid-18s, even lower 18s. You might notice in some of this, I start driving in some of stage 4 and 5. You might find that I'm driving even more aggressively than I normally would, and there's a reason for that. I totally finished this event, and then found out that I wasn't recording stage 4 and 5. Then, I found out that I hadn't done a cloud save throughout the entire event. So, the only way I could get to stage 4 and 5 was to do a cloud restore and lose the entire event. So that's what I had to do. I had to start from the scratch and do this whole event twice. And yeah, I like doing events like this, but not when I want to be getting a bunch of videos out. So I start to take my frustration out on some of the people in the race. Oh, let's just go eat the wall. Okay, well then we got to take out Truex. Well, I don't have to, but I did. So yeah, I did this whole event twice. And it's my fault. No one else's fault but mine. I thought I had pressed record on my screen recorder, but I obviously didn't. It's never failed me, so I'd be very surprised if that's what it was. And there we go. We'll go sliding off into the grass. Sometimes guys like to go spin around on the grass, and I always think the caretaker of the facility's probably just fuming mad, because he just perfected that, and they just wrecked it. Oh well. Well, this one sounds pretty simple. You just have to get into position 12 and overtake 10 cars. However, you do need to plan your overtakes, because you can't afford to be getting into the walls and giving anyone an opportunity to overtake you, or you will fail the stage. So, overtake without getting overtaken. Now, you know me, I don't want to just get to what they say, because that's kind of boring. I want to win this race, and that's where it gets a lot more risky if you want to win. You can see here that the bots are nicely spaced out. Right around here, I think they're going to start to break formation. Like, he suddenly went right in front of me. That worried me, because Harvick almost, I think I had already overtaken Harvick. Not quite sure, but anyhow. And that's strange. Get to position 12, but that's my 10th overtake. Okay, well, as you can see, there is, well, that's me, that's Blaney. So once I overtake Blaney, I could just lay low and not do anything more, but that's boring. So classic Richmond overtake there, wonderful job. And here's the traffic. And this is what you should avoid, but I don't want to. I like the traffic. And I want to win. So let's just keep on going and being careful, especially if this all gets stacked up. Oh, he came up on me there. Once in a while, the bots will go out of their way to hit you. There was an earlier race on a different stage here where I was passing Boyer. I was on the inside, and he just came far out of his high lane and smashed into me. Kind of surprised me there. Kind of funny, though. For some reason, I noticed that'll happen, and if you stay further away from the bots, they don't do that. So there is still some sort of a magnetic pull. Either that, or there's a confusion in the programming, and they think you're on the outside. I actually think it's that, because I've had this happen in other races where they are going to go to give you the lane. Oops, I got onto the apron there. Ooh, that was risky, because there was a guy on the outside. So yeah, sometimes I think that they think that you're on the outside, so they're trying to get out of your way, but they have it wrong, and they smash into you. Well, that's as good as I could do in that race. I probably could have won if I pushed it harder, but I didn't want to risk losing the race. So that's good enough. And, okay, this is another one where it says we're low on fuel and just have to get up to 3rd place. Oh, and get in 10,000 yards of drafting. Oh my, that's a lot harder. Now, there's 10 laps to do this in. I'm trying to get behind him and, oops. Okay, that time I didn't want to do that. I just gave up a nice drafting run. Oh well. I was trying to get right on his tail and get some drafting. See, right there, Harvick purposely came down to hit me. I think that's bot programming error. I think that he thought I was on the outside. It sounds silly, but I've seen this happen so many times. So it's kind of frustrating sometimes, especially on Indy Speedway. That's where it gets frustrating if you're trying to do an outside pass and they purposely go out of their lane to hit you, and then you're going into the wall. because they do that at the, between the entrance and middle of the corner seems to be where it happens the most. So I'm not really worried about fuel much here. But there you go. I'm coasting, waiting for him to get in front of me. Fuel's not the issue for me. Drafting is the issue. And this is the downside of being overpowered, is that you keep hitting the bots quite easily. So if I had lower tuning, it would be easier not to be hitting Truex so much or hitting the other bots. But again, if you get up to more difficult bots, it can get easier. But now they're in traffic. So then, there you go. Then he's jostling and hitting the brakes. And that means I'm hitting the brakes or hitting him. But still, many laps left. 5,000, 4,000 more units to go. Not difficult. So as you can see, I really prefer feathering the throttle a lot here. It certainly is possible to do this with Tilt A or any automatic accelerator, but the cornering can be a little more frustrating. Richmond is really a track that favors a coasting approach when you're losing traction. If you're on Tilt A and you lose traction, you're just going to keep sliding. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the big advantage of Tilt B, is that when I start sliding, I get off the gas and I steer into the skid, and then I can just get onto the gas when I want to. When I used to run Tilt A, you start to skid and you're just going to go sliding into the walls. Nothing you can do about it. The car just keeps skidding because more gas makes you skid and more brakes makes you skid. So that's a big reason why I switched away from Tilt A years ago. It's what I used to run all the time. There we go. Too much playing around here. Now I've let other people get into the race. Truex Jr. And yes, I'm taking out some of my race frustrations on these guys. Oh, and then they crash. Well, that's hilarious. That's part of the reason why when I pit someone, I try to spin them totally around, 180 degrees. And then they cause some more chaos. Because causing chaos is sometimes fun. Oops. Well, that time I didn't want to do that. Well, you know what happens. Goodbye. And the race is winding down with absolutely no issue on fuel, as you can see. I didn't take it that easy, and I've got piles of fuel left. So yeah, don't worry about your fuel. Absolutely not an issue. Get your drafting in and have some fun along the way. And the jets go flying overhead. That's a wonderful part of Richmond too. I think it's the coolest ending screen with those jets doing their flyby in formation. And that's the end of stage 4. Here's a playlist. If you missed anything, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon.